when I first met Boothroyd, I was just swifting him. I was like, this guy's like not that great. And then I play him at GOAT, like at Utrecht, and he just like 3-0s me like 3 times in a row, and I'm like, what is going on?
What is going on? This guy's whack. What the fuck? And what's good, YouTube? It's Marty from The Disciples here, today with some new faces on the channel that we haven't seen before. Guys, introduce yourself.
I'm Aaron on team.
I'm Connor.
Hi guys, I'm Barney.
And what is it you guys have wanted to talk about today?
We want to talk about EDISON format, the best format in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Let's go.
So a lot of people on the team have recently been picking up on some of these older formats, and the one that sort of caught most people's attention on the team currently is EDISON format, and a lot of people have been taking great interest in it as well. I've dabbled a little bit in it. A lot of the other teammates have started picking up decks, and these three seem to have the most interest in it, and I wanted to sort of talk about it a little bit more today. What are you guys' thoughts on EDISON format in general? Just lay it out for me.
Well, should we start with the first question, how we all got into EDISON format?
Yeah, sure. How did you get into it?
Good.
Go on, why don't you guys start first?
Mine's pretty easy. I saw you playing it, Barney, and you were like explaining to me what it was, and I was like, oh, as someone who struggles to keep up with modern Yu-Gi-Oh, I recognize these cards. I want to play. So that was pretty much it. You guys got me into it.
So I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh like around the time EDISON was in real life, like 2010, and I started going to locals around that time. But before I went to locals, I was like just whacking up kids at school playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and I thought I just want to get into this competitive scene, right? And I think the first time I got into Yu-Gi-Oh around that time was I went to some like play scheme as a kid, and like there were these 2 kids on buckets playing Yu-Gi-Oh. And I was like, can I play? And they were like, no, get your own deck. So I did, and then I beat them. And then, I just went up to the library because I didn't have a computer at the time. And I went online and tried to look for like local tournaments. And there was one in Houston. So I ended up going there. And then, I just got whacked. I had my little like structure deck and I got fucked up. And that was the start of it. And then been playing ever since. And when I found out that like EDISON was a thing, I just thought the nostalgia just kind of hit me, and I was like, yeah, let's play.
Cool.
Nice one.
And Barney, I know you've got quite a colourful history with just old formats in general. Let's break it down from the beginning, I'd say. Yeah,
well, as you know, Marty, I love old formats. We've all been playing Yu-Gi-Oh a long time. I mean, we all created Disciples in 2017, and back then we were all religiously going to regionals, loving it. But for me personally, COVID happened and I stopped following the meta. Like I got kind of, I couldn't keep up with the meta. Like work got in the way, things got in the way. And so I ended up not playing modern as much, but I always played GOATs with my cousin. Like that was one thing that I always loved playing. GOATs was with my cousin, because that's how I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid. Me and my cousin were watching a TV show and we were playing and stuff. And so I wanted to build other old format decks, and I thought, well, when did I stop playing like Yugi's deck, like Dark Magician Go, Exodia pieces and all that in the deck? And when did I start looking to what decks were actually good for the game, like good in the game? And that was at 2012 when I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh in terms of meta Yu-Gi-Oh. I was really rubbish back then, but so I thought, let's build some 2012 decks. And I was building 2012 decks, and I got a load of cards for it and stuff. And I think it was Marcus and Bancroft. And I think maybe you as well, Connor, because you were recently playing in one of the EDISON tournaments, which we'll talk about later, like Ed and EDISON. They're great. But you guys said, check out EDISON format. And at first I was quite reluctant because I'd spent so much time building these 2012 decks. And I had a look and I was like, wow, this is actually quite sick. This is the Yu-Gi-Oh I remember. So I ended up building some EDISON decks and haven't looked back since. I haven't got back into the meta, unfortunately, but EDISON is just amazing. It's its own, like, it's very unique to a lot of the other formats where anything can win. The gameplay is faster than GOAT, but it's also, you know, a lot slower than Modern, and there's a lot of skill involved, which we'll talk about as well.
Yeah, should we specify when it is for people that don't know?
I mean, most people watching this should know it at this point, but like if you don't, it's March 2011.
2010, I think, right?
I think it's 2010, yeah.
2010, yeah.
Before the Shining Darkness.
Yeah, because it's like, it was literally one format.
2010.
Yeah, because it was it was like a 1 month format for like one event. But people have just gone back and played it over and over now. No, I find it funny, like how.
And it was before the
Shining Darkness, right?
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, before the Shining Darkness, before Ronin Todin and the X-Saber support.
Yeah. No, because I find it quite funny how some of you like, because I've just like also played Edison just like because other people in the team started playing it, and it's good fun and all of that. But like you guys have like good like in-depth like backstories of how you played it and stuff, like how you got into it. And like I know like Boothroyd is like a proper Yu-Gi-Oh boomer. Like he doesn't like know, you don't know, like I see you would play like new decks, like you'll know how to play them, but it's just like you look lost. But like when I see you playing GOAT, it's just like one thing after another, and you're just putting pressure when playing GOAT, and I'm just where's this? Why is this not in his modern Yu-Gi-Oh like gameplay? Like what's going on? And then you've got Edison, and then you're just like beating the shit out of people with like Frog Monarchs and stuff. And I'm just like, where is this energy in 2021, bro? Like it's just not there.
Right, honestly, like if someone's asked me like what you enjoy about Edison, that's like a big thing for me as an older player. Like you said with Barney, similar boat. I struggle to keep up with modern Yu-Gi-Oh. But like it's sort of like I know the card pool. I feel comfortable. You know, I feel like you have a chance to like not like show off, but just for people to take you seriously though, and it's nice.
I guess.
It's nice.
No, I get you. And then Barney, I just know like your like start of like old Yu-Gi-Oh, it was like when A went to 1 or something, or like when ABC just became unplayable. That's like the start of your like village and villain.
Calvin Tahan couldn't.
Yeah, it was like his villain origin story.
I was a devout follower of Calvin Tahan in his second ABC list, as you guys know, and I loved that deck. That was probably the last deck I played properly, properly in terms of meta. Because my favorite decks and my favorite meta formats were things like the Light Swan 60 card deck that we all built. Do you remember that? And things like that. And then you guys all played Trickstar, Sky Striker, Mech Knight, which Connor ended up doing really well in the tournament.
Yeah, that was
what tournament was that, Connor?
That was 2019,
Nationals, right?
No, 2018 Nationals. Long time ago.
Yeah, that was it. And I played second ABC, and I ended up getting paired against 3 other disciples. And I was very sad.
That was grim. I remember that.
Yeah, it was up until it was.
Yeah, go on.
Go on, sorry.
No, because
I was just saying. It was up until COVID when I just decided like things were just getting in the way too much, and because of COVID, it was only remote duels. So I was like, is there you know? But I always would come back to playing with my cousin Billy because I'd see him in real life a lot, and I hated the whole remote duel thing.
Bro, it was so whack.
So
you missed out on nothing.
Yeah.
Bro, oh my god. I just remember because we were at yours and we were playing the YCS, and I just remember looking at Boothroyd and just every 5 minutes, yo, you're frozen, your camera's frozen, bud. Like every 5 minutes, it was the worst thing. He was playing like a really grindy Shadowmere mirror, and the connection would just cut every single time. And every time it cut, like his opponent had like a Red Eyes Fusion or a
Shadow they would like draw Shadow Fusion every. Bro, it was not the one. It was not the one.
Talk about remote duels. Like in the remote duel YCS, I got Royal Tributed for 5 turn 1. Like
that great.
Anyway,
imagine. Oh my god, that was brilliant.
I think this is a good segue to talk about what we liked Edison in regards to other formats.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like I know people not like shit talking GOAT, but a lot of people that used to play GOAT are like sort of transitioning to Edison.
Yeah.
I'd like to go on record like I'm still a big fan of GOAT, but I just feel like Edison, for example, there's slightly less blowout cards, you know,
bro,
and like more options
GOAT,
for decks.
right?
Like
I've seen GOAT being
more,
played.
like extra decks and stuff. You have like options.
Yeah. No, the thing with GOAT is just like I've watched people play GOAT like poorly. I've watched people play GOAT like really well. And it's just like half of it doesn't make sense. Like people will set 4 and then they won't get punished for it. And then they'll just go turn 1 like graceful into pot, into whatever. And then you're just ahead of the game. Like you just like it's like deceptively like oppressive. and skillless sometimes.
In GOAT, like you could just open Delinquent, Pot, Graceful, any of those three, and just be in a commanding position most of the time. Whereas there's not that many like win button cards in Edison. Like the best cards in Edison, like in terms of win button cards, like Cold Wave, Trap Dust Shoot, and they don't even guarantee you like the game. Like they're just very strong. So yeah, I think that's very attractive about Edison.
The other thing as well with like formats like GOAT format as well is just like GOAT format inherently is like super solved at this point. Like if you look at the GOAT decks from back then and the GOAT decks from now, it's like night and day. Like people were playing like Yomi shit back in 2004 and stuff like that, but now it's just got like super optimized. Everyone's just playing like broken decks as well in GOAT now, because everyone's just realized, hey, just play the combo decks or the FTK decks or the Chaos Control deck, and like GOAT is like a tier 3 deck in that format now. It's kind of crazy to think about. Like it started off as like this quote unquote fake format that people made with these like one deck list. I think it was like the baseline was what was his name's deck list? Who's the GOAT player? His name is leaving my mind now. But he basically made the baseline for the GOAT deck. And like everyone plays that deck now. Chris Perovich, that's the guy. His GOAT deck basically formed the baseline for GOAT decks. People played mirrors of that deck. And then people started playing that format for money. And then people started bringing like degenerate decks. And
yeah, like there's FTKs in GOAT. Like,
do you remember when Tristan... Oh, I remember when Tristan asked people in the group chat when he first joined the team, he was like, yo, does anyone want to play GOAT? And then you like eagerly was just like, yeah, I'll play some GOAT. And then you just got FTK'd twice. It was the best thing.
I thought I had the fast deck. Like, I was playing Noel's list, the Crane Gate Turbo. And I was like, this deck's fast. This deck can OTK.
Yeah.
I just get FTK'd. I was like, what?
It was so good. Was that the Spell Economics thing? That was so brilliant.
But that's what you said, Connor, you like about Edison, right? Is like the game's not decided on turn 1. Like trap cards are good. Like, do you know what I mean? Like even going second, arguably sometimes you can.
I was looking in the format library Discord, and I think it was Keegan. He said something like really good. He was like, trap cards are like an extra normal summon, sort of, which is like correct in some ways. It just means like you can commit more cards to the board and not get punished as hard turn 1, and the more interactions you have, the better. But at the same time, I think you can still play the slow version where you just like set pass or like just pass. Like a lot of the times in Edison, just passing is the best move.
Yeah,
I think you guys have touched on something really interesting there as well. In that, like, Edison format is in no way solved. Do you know what I mean? The tournament that just happened, the Pump King of Games tournament that the Ed and Edison channel just did, Zombies won the event. Connor came second with his lights on deck.
Yeah.
Let's go. But Zombies won, and no one expected Zombies to win. No one thought Zombies was a good deck, and now you're going to have to watch out for it when you're playing Edison. So it's interesting.
Well, it's a good deck when they draw bad 5 out of 6 games.
I mean, yeah, that's gonna happen, right? What can you do?
But like you say, in terms of win buttons, you can't always like. Dad doesn't even guarantee you the game. You can open Dad and still lose. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things.
I think what's attractive about Edison also is like the win button cards in Edison aren't spell cards. So like in GOAT, like you can't really stop Graceful, Pot, or Delinquent turn 1, but win button cards like Dark Armed can be stopped by cards like Royal Oppression, Solemn Judgment, good traps like that everyone plays. So
like bottom
it makes the win button cards
things.
Yeah. So it makes the win button cards less win button cards.
I mean, you can Judgment a Graceful if you really want to, but like you're not going to. So but those sorts of things. Yeah, no, I get that concept. Yeah, there's a lot more counterplay to just like power cards in general, and like even things like small things like Starlight Road. Like you have to play around Starlight Road. It's like one of those cards where you're gonna get caught by it, and you're like, I should have played around it. Like
literally, like in Lightsworn, which is like my deck. I love that deck. A lot of the times I'll potentially question Celestiating for 2. I'll just Celestia for 1.
Yeah.
And then there's so many times when they just haven't had the Starlight Road, and like I've just been like, oh well, I could have plus more, but sometimes you just got to make a safe play, and that's kind of like what's good about Edison, because you can't always go for the full value play because you could get punished.
I find myself in similar situations. The deck I like to play a lot is Sprog Monarch. And sometimes I'll look at a board and I have a Dark Dust Spirit in my hand, and I have to, if they've got a back row, I have to think like, can I just like maybe summon Kai, Spanish one attack over the other one or something? Because like you just don't want to lose. Like I got 2/5 is big against my deck as well. It's hard.
Yeah.
I love Starlight Road. Dark Dust Spirit is sick.
Like you want to, if you had like a Dark Dust Spirit and a Caius, you'd want to like think about whether you want to commit that Dark Dust Spirit, because you kind of want that to keep returning to your hand, like small things like that.
I think the one thing that I've liked about these old formats like compared to like newer formats as well is like the concept same in both is like I play by this concept of positions rather than like card advantage and stuff like that, where I don't know if you get it when I say it, but like say like you're doing your combo play and your opponent hand traps you once, and then their position is they have 5 cards for their next turn, or if they hand trap you twice they have 4 cards, and then you have to like assess the position of like how much of a play you can make through that, for example with whatever deck you're playing, and what position you can generate that is better against 4 cards or 5 cards in that sort of sense. But I think the lines are much more blurred in terms of positions in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, and you can just get blown out a little bit more easily no matter what kind of like positions you try to assess. So whereas I think in these older formats the positions are a lot more defined and a lot more easier to assess. Well, not easier, but 100%. But you get more value from assessing the position more than your opponent does. So I think, because I'm going to bring up a game that we were watching you play in the Pumpkin tournament, and I really remember this position. This was you against the Hero Beat deck, which was playing like Gemini Sparks. Was that in top 4? I think so. Yeah. It was when you Trap Dust shot him, and you saw his hand of Gemini Spark and D-Prison.
It was top 4, and then we had to like decide.
And then you had to make the decision.
D-Prison or Gemini
exactly.
Spark. Yeah.
I remember this because you had to assess that position because, and I remember I think he misplayed there by not setting the D-Prison.
No, because what happened was basically
he set the Gemini Spark,
into the so he set the Gemini Spark, and I played into the D-Prison. Like I would have been in a pretty bad position if it was D-Prison, but like in that scenario, if you're the hero player, you can't really set D-Prison because he knew I had Lila. So
did he know you had Lila?
I knew he was. Yeah. So
it
was kind of like he was kind of forced to set the Gemini Spark, but then he was like. When I did play into the D-Prison, he was like he put in the chat he almost big brain set the D-Prison.
Again,
and I was like shit. Like,
I remember that.
It's like assessing positions, and he didn't read the position further enough in order to make that play. He knew the play, but didn't like assess it further enough to make that play.
He just didn't have the balls to do it.
Yeah, exactly. But again, that's where like assessing your position and assessing the knowledge. And getting the most out of your position.
Making reads.
Exactly. Like you can do so much more with that. Obviously, he could have like completely mitigated that just by setting both. But I don't know if he knew you had heavy or whatever.
But I think something that's quite prominent in old formats, like particularly maybe in GOAT more so than Edison, but like, or maybe in both. Like resource management is like a big thing because like a lot of your power cards, you don't have many of them, and you need to really think like the one thing I always ask myself is like. I don't try not to do things that are unnecessary. You know, like if you want to set Mirror Force and Sekaretsu Armor, they both do the same thing. So why are you going to set them both?
No, that's fair. No, that's obvious enough. Like, I think it's things like that position.
That's how I play
it. Yeah, no,
that's fair. It's the kind of situation where what's the least amount of like things I can do that I can get away with? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's how I like to think about it. What's the least amount of cards I can spend but I can get away with like doing something cool this turn kind of thing.
Yeah.
And because you've always got to have it's definitely about advantage because it's not like GOAT where you can suddenly top deck a Pot of Greed into Delinquent and then just end up being ahead out of nowhere.
It's funny you say that, right? Because in the finals, in the last game, the guy won because he committed early. Like, I think you just have to choose the time. When's the time to play resource management game? When's the time to commit? Because like sometimes committing early is like very good. Because if they have like, let's say they have like no back row and they have 5 cards in hand. If you summon like your big guys early, you play around bottomless and all the other back rows that stop on summon stuff. So like, I lost in the finals in the very last game because he just went Brio Dad really early, and I had a handful of light swords, and the pressure was just on. Like I couldn't do anything.
I definitely think like it's on you as a player. It's like if you make the read that your opponent has nothing, at that point, like what you're playing around, you go right. You sometimes you just got to do it.
Yeah, because that's how you win the game.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But there was also with that zombie deck, there was a really interesting like kind of loop that he was doing with Call of the Haunted, Brainiac, and Ill Blood, where he would Brio bounces Call of the Haunted, and then sets Call of the Haunted next time reborn Ill Blood and do it again. So I guess for him, like, to get to that loop as early as possible was ensuring him advantage every single turn. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess it's finding a balance. Sorry, Connor. Yeah, go on.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I guess it's finding the balance of getting your plays going, getting the ball rolling, but not committing so much where you can get blindsided, get punished, and then lose the duel because you're out of resources. Kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Like, a cool thing the zombie guy was doing as well was, like, a lot of decks play Plague Spreader, and he was playing Doom Kaiser. So I think, because I played this guy in 3 matches, because in the tournament, I think I played him once, the first, like, round 3, and I lost to him, and then we played in the finals and then the grand finals. So we had a lot of games. We had like 9 games in total, and during that time, I played Plague, and I think in like game 3 of round 3, he summoned Doom Kaiser and just looped my Plague and kept taking my Plague and using it. So it's like, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool things like that in Edison. I think the other thing that I personally like about Edison is that there's just so many decks. Like in my time of playing Edison, I've played like 6 different decks, and they've all been like fun to play. Like, I don't know about you guys. Like,
it's very fun.
Literally, any deck can win. And like that was quite reflective in the Pump King of Games tournament that Connor just came second in, because first place was Zombies, then there was Light Swans, the boy playing Light Swans, and then there was like Heroes, that weird Glad deck that no one ever saw coming. It wasn't like half Glad.
Yeah, it was like 3 Hamster or something.
No, it was playing like Rescue
3
Cat.
Hamster.
Oh, is it 3 Hamster? Does Hamster get Rescue Cat?
No.
Hamster gets Air Bellum or
it's level
the Gladiator
3 or lower,
Beast. Right? The level 3 Gladiator Beast. What's it called? Sam Knight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was like a beast toolbox
that
could like randomly get you into Glads.
Yeah. It's just because like the problem with Hamster is it's so big that like you can't really play around Hamster. Like, there's not really many strong beaters in the format that can beat a Hamster. So a lot of the time they'll waste their attack. Yeah, like they'll waste their attack on the Hamster, and then if you summon Air Bellum in that Glad deck, like that's pressure.
I think
really big pressure.
I think so. Yeah, no, I think like the funny one was like me and Alex leading the charge of winning with anything with like the spaceship deck. That thing is so fun. It's so horrible. Like, it's the worst deck in the format, but it's so funny just beating people with it. Like, it's so good.
You say that though, Marty.
Honest is a good card.
Honest is broken. Don't get me wrong.
The angel deck that topped Giant Ego, the angel deck played Lord British in the side deck.
No
Did you
way.
see that, Marty?
No way.
It played Lord British in the side deck.
That's so cool. That is so cool. I need to check that.
That's quite interesting.
You know,
Lord
like,
British is so good though. That card like has 3 effects. Like, 3 effect cards are ban worthy today. Come on, guys.
And like so many decks are viable, and like where it's just like, you know, like the ban list is set in stone, right? So if you want to buy some shiny cards, they're not getting hit. You know what I mean? It feels good. I think as Barney was talking about earlier, like getting an addiction. Like, I've definitely succumbed to that myself. Oh.
Yeah, the shiny cards are
so nice forever.
Yeah.
And because the Edison Cup, we're going to be using them for the next 10 years, lads.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, Connor, let's talk about your tournament. Let's talk about how it was for you.
So, I think we should just first of all say what it was. So, I think there's this YouTube channel called Ed and Edison.
What a name, by the way.
Yeah, like,
fully. Yeah.
Especially, like, I grew up watching like Ed and Eddie as well. So, I really appreciate the reference. But I think they were the ones who hosted this tournament. It's like, so it was just a massive Edison tournament online, free entry. First place gets $100, second gets 75, and so on up to top 4. So the fact that they were doing prize support, even though it was free entry, was like props to them. Fair enough. Yeah, I ended up. I heard about the tournament like a day before it started, and then I was on the fence about entering. So I think it was like 5 minutes before the tournament. I just thought, screw it, I'll just enter. So I just looked on my DB for like my Edison lights on this, and I just submitted it. But it has like one incorrect spot. Like, I have Arcanite Magician in the extra deck, and I like can't make it. It should be Dark End Dragon.
I had that problem once with
Like,
my Adagio Warrior.
yeah.
It was like,
Literally, that's what happens when
Yeah.
you enter 5 minutes before the tournament. But anyway, I submitted my list, and then it was all good, and I was in the tournament. So that the way the tournament worked was it wasn't Swiss. It was like
It was double elim.
elim, I think.
It was double elim.
Yeah, it was double elim. So that means that any point you lose, you go into a loser's bracket, and then like you have to play so many more matches. So like if you just win all your matches like straight up, you go into the top cut, and that you only need to win 6. But I lost round 3, so I had to play the losers bracket all the way to the finals. So I ended up playing like 12 matches in total. So round 1, I played Glads. I 2-0'd him,
sounds familiar, you know.
even though it's like quite a difficult matchup. But game 2 and 3, I sided in Twister and I just hit D Fisher, and then Cyber Dragon came in clutch, and I won that. Round 2, I played against a really cool deck. I've never seen this before in Edison. It's like Black Garden Beat, and he was just playing Black Garden, like Beast King Barbaros, Legendary Jiu-Jitsu Master, and just Injection Fair, really weird cards, like really weird cards. I 2-0'd it in the end, but I twisted the garden, and it was calm. So far Twister's been coming in clutch in the side. Round 3, I played against the winner of the tournament. I lost 1-2. In game 3, I had 5 cards left in deck, and like I saw all those cards, so I had like 4 chances to see JD to win the game. And I just didn't. JD was the last card, and then not only that, but the order of the way I drew my cards was so like scuffed. Like I drew Wolf, and then I drew Foolish, and there was like no other monsters left in deck apart from JD after that. So Oh, and in that match, he saw Dad all 3 games. So that was unfortunate, but I thought, you know what, if I play him again, like in the winner's bracket, like I'll just try smoke him there. Round 4, I played against Lightsworn Fairy. That was such a weird deck. Like he was just playing Lightsworn cards with like Christia and Shining Angel and stuff. And game 1, my one main deck, DD Crow, hits his Plague Spreader Zombie for game. Game 1, I trag him after he gauzes me, and I have gauze in my hand, so I discard my gauze to take his gauze, which is quite. That was like big tempo switch.
Yeah.
Game 2, I think he had it, but he goes damage step honest, and then I go damage calc honest, and like he just fucked up. And then game 2 also I top deck Dad versus his JD for game. So he just had JD on board, and I had like nothing in hand. I had like 2,000 life, so it was game if I didn't top deck anything else. Just happened to have 3 Darks in grave, top deck Dad, and kill him. 2-0 Lightsworn Fairy round 4. Round 5, I played against Hero Beat. Nothing really memorable in that matchup apart from game 3. I OTK'd him with double JD Lumina Gareth after I dash shooted his hand, so I knew he didn't have any battle hand traps. So that was 2-1. Round 6, I played against Diva Frog. I think like Frog Monarch is way better than Diva Frog. Like the Diva Frog deck just can't put up much pressure. It's more of a
Too many normal summons.
Yeah, and like the only thing they have going for it really is Dupe Lock. So I 2-0'd that, and game 2 I just went JD Dad Sork for game. Round 7, I played against a really good Diva Frog player, but he was playing Monarchs as well, and it's cards like Soul Exchange, so it wasn't just pure Diva Frog. Like he was playing Monarchs as well, which are like the strong cards. Like that's what makes the deck good, in my opinion. It was Rognak, and I 2-1'd him. And then it went to top 8. So that was like I had to play like 7 rounds because I went to the losers bracket. Or I don't even know if there was a cut to top 8. It might have just been cut to top 4. So maybe I played 8 rounds. But either way, the next match I played Zombie Beat, which was a funny deck. He was playing like Paladin of the Cursed Dragon, which is like a light zombie 1900 attack beater. He's playing Bear Floodgates, Thunder King Ryo in the main. I 2-0'd him, and again, I don't know why people are doing this, but game 1 he damaged step honest, and then I damaged calc honest.
Was it his turn or your turn?
I don't think it matters if you're...
It doesn't matter because they're separate sub steps, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but if it's your turn, you'll always win anyway, even if you both damage calc.
Yeah.
That matters for that. If you both,
But regardless of whose turn it was, he didn't damage step, so I won that game. That was 2-0. And then we cut to top 4. I played against Jaina Ego. He was playing Angels. and I 2-1'd him. The only memorable interaction from that match was, so a lot of lights on decks don't really play defensive cards, but I thought like Book of Moon is just the best -1 in the game, like in Edison. I was like, I just have to play at least one of it. And then game one, he has like a really good field. My only out to his field is Black Rose. He doesn't have Christie on the board at this point, but he has like a really good field. And like I go to summon Black Rose, and I think he Book of Moons my Plague Spreader. So I'm just like kind of stuck. So I just pass with a back row. And then for some reason he summons Christie in defense and passes. Because I have like 4 cards in deck, so he's trying to deck me out by just summoning Christie in defense, locking me out, soft lock, because I've used my Rykos. And my back row's book. So I book his Christia and then make my own Black Rose and then normal summon him and attack the game. So then we cut to the losers bracket final, and I play against another hero beat. Nothing much memorable in that match. I 2-1'd him, but the only memorable moment was Gate. Oh no, he wasn't playing D-Fisher. He was just playing like
not D-Fisher, the Dim Prison thing, the little Dim Prison interaction.
Oh
yeah. That game.
Yeah, so I think I trapped Dash. No, so actually, yeah, this is the memorable interaction. So game 3, I mind crush him after he equals search Stratos. So I know his hand.
No.
Well, actually, no, I don't know his hand.
No,
he didn't show it.
You can't.
Did I dash it?
You dust shot him.
Oh yeah, it must have been game 1 or 2.
Yeah, so it was like game 1 or 2. You dust shot him.
Yeah. Yeah, so I dust shooted him and I saw his hand, and then I saw that he had Gemini Spark D Prison, and he knew that I had Lila because I think I searched it with charge turn before. So he was kind of put in the weird position because if he set the D Prison, he knows I can just summon Lila, pop it. So he's kind of forced to set the Gemini Spark. But then I make a play that really plays into if he set D Prison. So if he big brained it and just set the D Prison, I would have got punished really hard. Yeah. But instead, he doesn't set the D Prison, he sets the Gemini Spark, and then it just goes my way. And then game 3, he goes equal, and I side in the Mind Crush, and I Mind Crush his Stratos, and then that puts him in a really bad position because he doesn't really draw any monsters after that. And I beat him. So then we get to the winners final.
This was a long game because it went all the way to the very last game. You reset the bracket, and then.
Yeah, that's so exactly that's how the bracket works. So because I played the guy I played in the winners final, because he hadn't lost any matches, he still had like an extra life. So even if I beat him in the match, which I did, we'd have to play again. So anyway, in the winners final, I 2-1 him. It's the same zombie guy that I played in round 3 who opened dad all 3 games, and I got really unlucky in game 3. So I 2-1 him, and I'm not gonna lie, in game 3 I absolutely sacked him. I drew like JD, charge, solar recharge, nuts, like Lumina.
It was broken. Like, it was so broken.
It was just a nut draw. So I 2-1 him. And then, obviously, because he has extra life, we play in the winners grand final. And I win game 1, so I'm like super pumped. I'm like, oh my God, like I've grinded through this losers bracket to get here. And now I'm like 1 up.
Sounds like
and then he just comes back and wins 2 in a row. In that match, he opened Dark Arm 2 out of 3 games. So out of the 9 matches, it was like a good 6 or 7 times he opened Dark Arm, but it is what it is. And to be fair, like he played really well, all three matches. Can't fault him for anything apart from the top decks. Like for example, in game 3, he could have just played it reserved and not committed everything, but I kind of gave away that my hand wasn't that good, and he just summoned Dad Brio and then just punished me there because the only thing I could really do is like set, and he just bounce it with Brio or pop it with Dad. So I did have an honest, but I could only out one of them, and then he does Brio or Dad on the other, and it just pressured me and I couldn't win. But in the end, came second, final record 10-2.
Yeah,
not too bad. And I'd say the 2 cards in the deck MVP that like not many Lights On players are playing at the time was Chaos Sorcerer, because I got Starlighted roaded like 5 times in the tournament, and the Chaos Sorcerer just came in so clutch, like outing the Stardust, because you don't have many forms of removal that aren't destruction. So that came in clutch, and also just being able to like go Chaos Sorcerer effect, bring back Plague, synchro for a guy, and still be able to attack was quite big. And obviously Hamster, like everyone thinks you're setting Raikou.
Yeah.
So against Rognak, I think he must have normal summoned Treeborn Frog, attacked into my what he thought was a Raikou.
He just
took 1700 damage.
Domed in the head for 17 for no reason.
Never be
He took about almost a quarter of his life and set a Raikou. I was feeling good. So yeah, those are two good cards. But yeah, that was my tournament report.
Very nice.
Overall, I really liked the tournament. It was really fun, especially because it was so last minute for me. And yeah, shout outs to Ed and Edison for hosting that.
Yeah. Are you gonna?
I loved watching you play, mate. It's so good. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
like
so good,
Edison format is just. I just love it. I'm in love with the format, man. And Connie, you play it really well as well. Yeah. So it was great. It was great fun.
It's nice to be able to watch like. Not necessarily a long game of Yu-Gi-Oh, but like a back and forth, not like just here's my blowout board, can you out it, not game 2, cool.
I don't think it's been said like out loud yet, but like the game's not being decided on turn 1, because I know this is like something you guys resonate with a lot. Is like games not being decided on turn 1 or just decided by the die roll in general.
I think that's why like I really like this format as well, because I can play like one of my favorite decks, Lightsworn, which is historically quite a bricky deck. Especially with like the cards I play. Like I main 1 DD Crow, 1 Chaos Hawk, 1 Dad. Like there's so many cards you can brick on. But because the game's so slow, it doesn't matter what you draw in your opening hand. Like give it 3 turns and your hand could be good again, and like you'll still be alive. So you can bring it back easy. And that happened like quite a couple of times in the tournament.
Yeah. Cool. Will you be playing more Edison events in the future? Connor,
100%.
You guys,
100%.
Barney.
Definitely. What's the dream? Like YCS side events, right?
Oh, that'd be unreal if they made Legacy side events.
That'd be so good. Play all your high rarity decks as well.
It's super easy for like anyone to like get into. Like we talked earlier about, you can spend a lot of money on making your cards look extra shiny, but realistically, because they're really old cards, a lot of them are common.
Yeah.
So like it's easy for people to pick up.
Like in paper.
And one of the best decks in Edison. One of the best decks in Edison is pure Blackwings, and you can make that for literally like
30 quid.
All the cards are common. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Blackwings is a complete. You can build Blackwings completely common if you want, and it's one of the best decks in the format.
Yeah.
So the best deck, the decks in the format that like I love that there's so much variance. There's Blackwing.
I think it does.
It comes in
battle pack or something.
I think it does.
I think it does.
In like one of the legendary
Blackwing, Lightsworn, Angels, Fish OTK. There's Frog Monarch.
Spaceships. Don't forget the spaceships. That deck's also all common. That deck's also all common.
You can even play Dandy
Warrior.
Yeah, I thought you like Quick Dandy, bro.
Warrior.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
let's not talk about Dandy Warrior.
Because
Our team has like a vendetta against that deck. That deck is like unplayable.
That deck is so bad. I don't know how Jeff Jones won the YCS with it. Like,
we've tried everything to try. Like we've tried the volcanic shells. We've tried Mystic Tomato. Bro, I think the best fix is literally just to play Drill Synchron still. Like,
Stop it, man.
Bro, it makes Drill Warrior.
Just play the Mystic Tomato.
I don't know about that, Marty.
You can Mystic Tomato into it, bro.
I rate Mystic Tomato.
No,
I like Mystic Tomato. I love Recruit.
I like Mystic Tomato as well.
The photos are cool, yeah. Bro, the zombie deck has the Pyramid Turtle as well, right? Like, just cards like that are like strong.
No.
I was so surprised.
This card says Search Sangan.
Recruiters.
I was so surprised by that zombie deck. I was I did not expect, because
I've never had any testing against guys.
Yeah, the Ed and Edison guys, because it was like the Pumpkin of Games tournament. It was like their Halloween thing. It was a theme basically, and they did the highest placing zombie list would get a special prize. There was an incentive for people to play zombies, but no one thought it was going to win.
Yeah, I think it was a first edition Secret Rare Goblin zombie. If you for the highest ranking zombie player, and they ended up winning the tournament. So.
That makes me want to build zombies.
Yeah. The thing about the zombie deck as well is like, I don't know, like I think the reason it won is because no one was really prepared for it. Like, once you know what the deck does, it's quite easy to beat because it only has one real big ton of pushes. It's just no one was prepared for it, like at all.
Yeah.
But it's very nice how like you can play like almost any deck in Edison, and the game rewards skill over deck choice.
Yeah. And as you say, there's lots of decks, and it's very accessible for new players in terms of paper play. But even in online play, it's been picking up as well. You know, I think the other day you were talking about just like being able to find random people on Discord or just on DB to play with in Edison.
Yeah, I mean in the unlimited section of DB,
you
can just literally type in Edison.
Dude, honestly, for like the first time this year, like, or maybe since like. I hop on with you guys to play, but playing against randoms of DBs a struggle sometimes. But like, I've never really been that motivated for regular Yu-Gi-Oh to do it. But for Edison, I just want to play in it, so I hop on, and I actually played for like literally the first time the other week. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
And the Format Library Discord, which is open for anyone, has a ranked Edison ladder where you can just like at people in there and you can play, and you go on unlimited, unrated, and you just play, and it's really great. And also, hopefully, DB will have an Edison ranked section soon. Yeah, because they asked the devs, and the devs said that if they got so many signatures, and they tripled the signatures already. So hopefully, at some point in the future, we'll see Edison.
Fingers crossed.
What I'm scared of now though is that if there's a ladder that people can grind like literally 24/7, that people are just going to discover FTKs and stuff out of like accidentally like just.
I really doubt it. Like I don't think there's viable
hopes.
FTKs in Edison.
You have high hopes.
I just hope zombie people don't side zombie world against my monarchs.
Oh, that's going to be rough.
Yeah.
But I think it's amazing.
Already.
You've touched on something really nice there, Marty, because I know you said that like someone could discover an FTK, but the thing is, Edison is still undiscovered. The format's 11 years old, but you can still come up with something new and you can still innovate. There's so much room for innovation. Anything can win. Who knows? Like the next tournament, aliens might win. Like you never know.
Half the decks that win are just like 3 Raikou, 3 Kaias, and then good cards. Like that's like half the decks just like it's really
Raikou Kaias.
Even though like there's a really large, like you could choose whatever deck to play, there are like some clear better decks than others. Like if I see Alien, I know I'm winning. Like don't get me wrong. But like
what go on.
I think what would constitute like the top decks are like Blackwing, Diva Frog / Monarch, Angels, Vayu Turbo, Lightsworn, and Fish OTK. They're like the top ones. Glads as well, I guess.
Dragons.
I think it's anything.
Dragons and Dragons.
I think it's anything.
Dragons and Glads.
Yeah. There's a lot of good decks in Edison, but like there are some that you can still do well with decently. But if you play against someone who knows what they're doing, like and is playing one of those decks, it's kind of hard to win. Like
I think the main thing is just like being able to put up pressure and putting people on a clock, and the decks that do that are the ones that do well in Edison format. I think that just rings true for most of Yu-Gi-Oh anyways.
But the thing about Edison as well is like, I don't think there's like any other format where there's that many top decks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think we named like
power triangle.
We named like a good 8 to 10 decks there that all are really really good.
Yeah. Right.
And the thing is, other decks that we would consider that aren't as powerful could still beat any of those. Like Quick Dandy could still beat any of those decks in a game.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. It's lots of fun. Yeah. So if you guys want to get into Edison,
Flamvel, the Dragon deck, stuff like that.
The Flamvel deck, Flamvel deck can win.
That deck's terrible.
But it can
so
win.
bad.
That's the point. There's a lot of terrible decks that can win.
Anything can win.
It has 3 rekindling. I like the Flamvel deck personally.
Right. Any other final thoughts? Anything you want to say to players who are...
It's a spineless deck with a Gravekeeper engine.
Oh yeah, there's one more thing that I wanted to say as well, actually, before we go.
Yeah.
Is that us as the disciples, we've basically created this within our team, this tournament that we're playing, and it's an Edison format tournament.
Yeah, the Edison Cup.
And at the minute we're doing the Edison Cup. I got a little cup made for it, and so far Marcus won the first one in the summer of this year. He won with Glad Beasts, and Connor came second with Light Swans.
This guy, man, with winning, losing, going into the loser brackets, and then coming back up. Because I was in the winners final against Marcus.
I think I played everyone. I think I played everyone. Yeah. Bro, I lost round. I think it was round 1. I lost to Moffat because he was like and then I had to play everyone. I think I played like 9 rounds.
Losers bracket final match was so good though on the pool table. I really enjoyed that.
Bro, was that when I first trap rolled you?
Yeah. Every game now, I play around it now. I'm just like,
No one is expecting
Stretch. Gotta play around Stretch.
The whole tournament.
Oh no, Barney! Do you remember in that when I was losing that game, and I drew the card trooper for turn. He was like, he has to say it.
Oh no, not the third card value.
No, Third card value
Unreal.
wins the game on the spot. I love
Not
it.
been rewarded for that.
I saw you top deck,
Literally.
Marty. I saw you top deck card trooper, and I was thinking, okay, he's setting card trooper here. He's setting card trooper, right? Billy
He's
can
having
still win if
another
he.
turn to survive,
And then
he's still drawn.
Marty goes normal summon card trooper into a 2K Sirocco, and I was like, wait, what the fuck is this guy doing? He goes effect mill 3, and I was like, no way is he going to try and
No
RNG
way.
of IU. And he mills 1, mills 2, and the third one's of IU, and we all screamed
Just-
like everyone.
Well, we're gonna close up there, right?
Pretty
Or
sure,
did you
yeah.
have another thought you wanted to share?
No, I was just gonna say that we're gonna do we're gonna keep playing Edison in the Edison Cup. And I don't know whether you guys want to make it 4 times a year or keep it as twice a year, but the next
Ooh,
one's
I don't know.
in winter. And if we ever wanted to make content out of
Yeah,
it,
we'll
we could, and I've
definitely
got really-
we'll have that
Vlog
set up. We're
with
gonna
the new cameras.
let us know in the
Disciples Gold
comments
Pod.
if you guys want to see any Edison in real life content.
Yeah.
Let us know,
we could
Yeah,
stream
because
it.
we've got a tournament that we all play.
We could stream it.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
amazing. And I've got really exciting stuff planned for the next one as well, like some really exciting things.
Good.
So it's
stuff,
going to be good for the future. So yeah, cool.
Right, and just final thoughts. Anything you wanted to tell the audience, or anything you want to say to any new players who might be thinking about Edison, or who might want to have a look at it, or people who haven't touched any old formats? Anything you'd like to say to them to close up?
Well, if you haven't played Edison before, and like you're kind of getting sick of current format, you want a bit of a slower format and the format that rewards skill more, Edison's the format for you.
Yeah, if you
Edison's
want
the
like something like you can just build 2 decks and take them like way away with your friends, and like no bandless involved. You just know you'll always be able to sit down and play, and that's fun. That's chill.
Brilliant. I think we're going to wrap it up there, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining me today for
Cool.
this special podcast.
Heavily enjoyed it.
We hope to see you guys more on the show. And once again, we have to thank all our sponsors, MetaMats, Card Market, and the Brotherhood. We'll leave all their links in the description. Be sure to subscribe to us on the YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify. And check out all our sponsors in the description. Check out all our social medias. We have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. Be sure to go follow us and like us on there. And if you haven't already, have a look for our merch and our apparel. As you can see here, lovely little mug. At
Shameless
Games Apparel.
plug.
At Games Apparel, and be sure to check that all out. With that said, this is Marty from Disciples signing out. See you in a bit.
Peace.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Peace.